For the first time since the 1960s, the Sand Springs Sandites are your state champions. They beat the champs to be the champs here tonight in Edmond as the Sandites win 32-27 over the Choctaw Yellow Jackets. Michael Knight from Prep Redzone Oklahoma, now joined by Cody McDaniel, OC at Mustang, also representing the OFBCA. This is our 6A-2 state championship instant reaction. And Coach, man, it's just another instant classic here in Edmond. Like I said, to be the champ, you got to beat the champ, and the champs went down swinging from Mustang, but they're partying like it's the mid-60s in Sand Springs tonight.
Amen. It was an exciting finish to a hard-fought game. Sand Springs, they really couldn't get off the field on third down in the first half, but they figured out how to do that in the second half, and they fought hard. It was a fantastic game to watch.
Yeah, and look, we're going to dive into all of it. Hats off to Choctaw, another fantastic season. Look, man, they were some road warriors this season. Their first 3 games on the road, they went up to Kansas, they went down to Texas, they went over to Bixby and faced the Spartans. Not an easy task. They finished the regular season 6-4. But look, as long as you're in the dance, as long as you got a seat at the table, you have a chance. They make it back here to Edmond. Coach Corbin and that Choctaw program, one of the premier programs in 6A-2. They have to leave here with the silver ball, but another great season for them.
Absolutely. Those guys know what it takes and the road to get here, and they did a fantastic job this year. And just in the championship game, you got to put your best foot forward and where it lies.
Choctaw jumped out to an early lead in the first quarter. Landon Gadsden finding Titus Hawk, 39-yard touchdown there in the first quarter. And it looked like Choctaw was going to be able to kind of move the ball. And what really impressed me early on with the Yellow Jackets was their ability to convert on third down. Now, that kind of went away later on in the game, but on that early possession, they were able to convert 3rd and 20. On the touchdown to Titus Hawk, that was on third down as well. The Yellow Jackets were able to keep the chains moving, keeping drives alive, and ending up in the end zone.
Absolutely, but Coach Klink, he's gonna figure some things out. He's gonna make the adjustments, and I know one thing about that. But they were explosive plays for Choctaw, and they've been here. First quarter, Sand Springs, they've been close, and they did their dirty work at the beginning of this year. But you got to think some feelings maybe for the young kids there, the first time here, but they settled in right after that.
In the second quarter, another third down conversion for Choctaw set up a Mayor Morgan touchdown run. All of a sudden, the Yellow Jackets are up 14-6. Sand Springs immediately responding with an Easton Webb touchdown pass to Dom Forbes, a 64-yarder. Coach, you had the privilege of coaching one of the best quarterbacks in the country this year, but man, I'm telling you, number 6 in yellow, that deep ball to Forbes there in the second quarter was a beauty.
He was dealing it early, and he was feeling it, and his pocket presence was fantastic to watch, and he was dealing it to those dudes, and those dudes were catching it.
Now, late in the second quarter, this might have been the turning point in the game. Sand Springs scores to go up 18-14. They never gave up the lead after that. Brock Odell, 1-yard touchdown to go up 18-14. And Brock Odell, mostly known as a linebacker this season for the Sandites, but what a playoff run he had in their quarterfinal win. 4 touchdowns on the ground. In the semifinal win over Putnam City, he had the game-winning 2-point conversion. He had 3 rushing touchdowns on the ground tonight. Coach Klink joked before the game, he said, and I quote, this was his quote, not mine, I'm a terrible coach. I should have had him playing running back all season. Brock Odell, their hard-nosed running back, had a really good game.
Absolutely. It was awesome to watch them get in that heavy set, and they put, the big D lineman in front of them, and they said, you know what, hey, it's December. Whoever runs the football is going to win this football game, and they decided, hey, that's the guy that's going to do it.
Let's dive into the second half now because Sand Springs, they're up 18-14. They come out in the third quarter, and it's an absolute stalemate. Neither team can really get anything going. Sand Springs, they had a lot of positive plays, but they couldn't get any points on the scoreboard. So we go into the fourth quarter, same score, 18-14, and the start of the fourth, same thing, stalemate. Neither team can get points on the board, and then all of a sudden the floodgates open, and we had a very exciting finish.
Hey, that's the deal. As the time ticks off and guys start to put pressure out there, and it was just awesome to see those kids respond and just start making the plays that they needed to make.
A big moment was Sand Springs going up 25-14. Easton Webb, again, a little pop pass to Dom Forbes. That was the second touchdown between those two tonight. And more importantly, that took almost 6 minutes off the clock. It was a 14-play drive that ended in a touchdown. You're an OC yourself. You know about those long drives. Like, look, guys, we can take 6 minutes off the clock. We can run 14, 15 plays, but we got to get points at the end of this.
Absolutely, but it's just about execution at that point. Even on the fourth down, play right there where they're coming back out from the fake punt and they get the delay of game. A negative play in those situations, usually the stats say that, that probably leads to more punting more than scoring, and it was just awesome to watch those guys just continue to execute. They didn't try to do anything other than what their coach asked them to do, and it was honestly fun to see.
Sand Springs goes up 2 possessions, but again, like we mentioned earlier, Choctaw is the defending champs. They weren't going to go away. They immediately respond. A drive that took less than 2 minutes, ending in a Mayor Morgan 28-yard touchdown run. All of a sudden, it's a one-possession game, and you're thinking, okay, we saw this last year. Muskogee was up by double digits. Choctaw rallies to win 26-25, but Sand Springs immediately answered, and who else? Brock Odell, a 47-yard touchdown with a little over 3 minutes left, and you started to think maybe Choctaw's out of time here.
Right, and that's the deal. Choctaw was being very aggressive on that, and so they kind of felt that as well. Time ticking away, and so they manned up. It was again the heavy set again, and so I think they said, hey, here's the stand for us right here, and they took a chance at it and played really aggressive, and just number 3 ended up making the play.
Odell with a 47-yard touchdown run. Choctaw, though, again, not going away. Landon Gadsden, their star quarterback, finds Dejon Green. He's going to Boston College to play corner, but I don't know. If I'm Bill O'Brien, maybe I let him play a little offense at the next level too, because he had a 40-yard touchdown there late in the fourth quarter to, again, make it a one-possession game.
Explosive, breaking 2 tackles down there. It was honestly – It was fun to watch how hard and just how much it meant to him to get that last score right there and just keep them in the fight.
Now they have to get the onside kick. They don't get it, so now you need to get a stop. They're unable to do that. Sand Springs walking away with a 32-27 victory. Again, partying like it's the mid-1960s in Sand Springs tonight, as they are your 6A-2 state champions. And look, some of the other stories from this game, we mentioned the stalemate factor, and you got to throw out the fact that, look, turnovers, penalties, those kill you in the biggest games. And one of the storylines, Choctaw, 18 penalties tonight, killing drives in as well as they did in the first half, converting on those third downs, those third and longs. Maybe it wouldn't have been third and long if you didn't shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, the procedure penalties, the false starts, the shift penalty stuff, that stuff right there, it's a focus thing, and they had a couple of holding penalties, and those are effort penalties, but at the end of the day, that penalties and turnovers are a huge part of the football game.
Bobby Klink, head coach of the Sandites, he's won a state championship as a player, as an assistant coach. He's been a part of, great programs in the past. And I talked to him, earlier in the week about, can you envision yourself winning a state championship as a head coach? And he put it all on the program, the community of Sand Springs, wanting to see the looks in his kids' faces, the parents' faces, the community's faces. He goes out as a state champion. Look, I've thought this for a long time. Bobby Klink is one of the best head coaches in the state of Oklahoma. Now, as a head coach, he gets a state championship ring.
Absolutely. He was on the staff with Bill when they kind of turned it around there at Owasso a little bit right there, and it's just awesome to watch his career grow. I got to shake his hand in pregame and tell him congrats and good luck tonight, and you could just see it right then and there, the way he was interacting with his players and everything. He was doing his best to keep his kids focused on the task at hand, and because he knew he had been here in different phases, and you can tell that he had those emotions on him, but he was doing a great job of being the leader of that program, and the community of Sand Springs is they're lucky to have him.
We should throw this out as well for 6A2. Ever since Big Bad Bixby moved up to 6A1, and they're now terrorizing the Broncos and everybody else. They're playing for a gold ball tomorrow night, by the way. Ever since Bixby moved up to 6A1, this is the 4th season, we've had 4 different state champions in 6A2. Stillwater, Muskogee, Choctaw last year, and now Sand Springs. This is a class that has parity every single year, and it's fun to see new programs break through. We mentioned the Sandites hadn't won a state title in 6 decades. This is what it's all about, those programs building to this. They've been knocking on the door for so many years. They finally kicked it down tonight.
And, kudos to the OSSA of realizing, the classification and taking the steps that they took and just to watch the success, in all classes, let alone 6A2.
It's fun tonight, 32-27. Sand Springs, the winners over Choctaw in the 6A2 state championship game. Coach, you're with the OFBCA, and we're doing all these instant reactions with coaches from the OFBCA because you have a huge event coming up next week in January. Big coaches clinic. Big expectations for that as well.
Yeah, January 15th and 16th at the Grand Casino in Shawnee, Oklahoma. There, we're going to pull all the coaches across the state of Oklahoma. We're going to put them all in the room. And we're going to fellowship, and we're going to talk ball, and we're going to figure out what worked for us and what didn't work for us. And it's awesome just to get all of those coaches, the leaders of their programs, and huge members of their community all together. And it's a big state event. Honestly, it's fun, it's exciting, and we just get to learn and fellowship together. And it's an awesome event.
It's an interesting dynamic because on Fridays in the fall, you guys are rivals. You're better rivals. You don't want the other one to succeed. But then, the season ends, and a couple weeks later, you're meeting and sharing and maybe not sharing everything, but sharing ideas. Like you mentioned, what works, what doesn't work. Talk about you mentioned the fellowship and the community that these coaches are, and how does this one compare to what we see in the summertime with the OCA clinic? Because this is just a football coach's only thing.
It is. It's strictly football coaches, and it's geared strictly for them. We get, we ask some of the colleges in Oklahoma to come back and share in those meetings and clinics and presentations and you had mentioned, hey, we're rivalries at the end of the day, but man, we love this game of football and what it brings to our kids, what the lessons that it teaches them, and a lot of us, it's a ministry to our kids, and it's awesome just to watch them learn how to succeed and honestly learn how to fail, and then us being a very small part of it is everything, and what better brotherhood to be a part of than football coaches here in Oklahoma, and just watching how this game can help create future great citizens inside their communities, and just watch them grow as young men. It's second to none.
Look, this is a new thing that we're doing this year for the state championships, these instant reaction videos, and I can stand here and talk about the game, but chopping it up with football coaches across the state, that's what we wanted to bring. And again, it's all about putting as bright of a spotlight on Oklahoma high school football as possible, because year after year there's great players, teams, coaches, programs, communities telling those stories, sharing and continuing to elevate the game moving forward. That's what we're about. That's what the OFBCA is about. If you're on the fence, give it a try. Come check them out in Shawnee. It should be a very fun event. It always is. Coach, thank you so much for joining us here this evening. Fun chopping it up with you tonight.
No problem. If you want to join, you can go to OFBCA.org, and we sure appreciate the coverage, the spotlight that you continue to put on our kids here in Oklahoma and our coaches. We have some of the best coaches around, and we just appreciate you guys so much.
Look, Prep Redzone's a national company, and I get asked all the time, would you be interested in covering different states? And I say, no. I was born here. I was raised here. I live here. My family's here. I'm rooted as deep as you can get into Oklahoma. All I care about is Oklahoma high school football, and that's never going to change. For Coach McDaniel, I'm Michael Knight. One final time, your Sand Springs Sandites, 6A2 state champions. They win it tonight, 32-27, and this has been the 6A2 Instant Reaction.